How well you know a course will have a significant impact on your score. Questions will come up like, what's in front of that green? How far is that water from here? And where do I need to hit to avoid that tree that's in the middle of the fairway? After playing somewhere for the first time, we've all had that thought, if only I knew this course better, I'd shoot so much lower. I'm putting that to the test by playing Revelstoke Golf Club in British Columbia, Canada for the second time, with the first time being just 24 hours ago. It's the perfect situation to see if a little knowledge will go a long way in shaving off strokes. And the par 72 course is the perfect candidate to find this out. With the aforementioned trees in the middle of fairways and tee shots that require a specific landing area, it's not a track that you should expect to shoot well on your first go. At the end of round number 1, I had carded an 84, with plenty of opportunities missed. And after analysing where I had lost strokes, my prediction for the second loop would be a sub 80 score, which would also be the first one I'd capture on camera, so there was a little bit of pressure on. But let's be real here for a minute, it wasn't just course management that had affected my score. I'm not sure if I'm the first to point this out, but golf is kind of complicated. I've also arrived a couple days after the greens have been aerated, which should explain why they look like they do from the epic drone footage. But the conditions are identical to the day before, and I'm not sure how much better or worse I can get at golf in less than 24 hours. The front nine weaves its way alongside the Columbia River and is in a spectacular setting with mountains everywhere you look. Holes provide plenty of variety, and while they look simple, those looks are deceiving. The back nine was built on top of an old horse race track, which is what the clubhouse was actually built for in 1912. But thankfully in 1924, the golf craze hit the town and became what it is today, a course that anyone can enjoy. I'll be playing from the tips, and at 6,500 yards, it's a perfectly reasonable test of my game. Let's get things started. I'll tell you what I learned from the previous round and how this knowledge benefited me as we go along. With my draw, I now knew that if my line started as close to the trees on the right as possible, this par 5 would be easily reachable in 2. And that's precisely what I did with this sick slinger hybrid onto the green.
That was ridiculous.
The putt, of course, was tricky given the conditions, but again, I had a good idea of the pace and was able to convert this long lag putt into a birdie to kick things off.
Birdie on the first. Boo! Awkward fist bump. What more do you need?
Despite knowing that a driver would get pretty close to tree number 1 in the middle of the fairway, I hit it regardless.
I didn't think about it yesterday, but I should have probably just taken the 3-wood on this hole.
It went a bit too straight and I ended up in the rough, but it did mean that I was left with a simple 90-yard shot.
Easy day. Golf is easy. I've been telling you this the whole time, Josh.
Kind of a weak 2-putt here, but a par is a par. The third is a straightforward par 3 with a big green. There's not much to talk about here, so we'll just move on.
You can see every time it hits like one of the aeration holes, just randomly bounces, and it's massive for the program.
The fourth is a short par 5 with a 90-degree dogleg in the middle of it. I knew that I didn't have the distance to make it past said corner, but I would be able to hook it around the trees that are on the dogleg and still have a go at getting on the green in 2. But I end up pushing it into the trees and I have to punch out. There was no real stress here though, even after I messed up, because I knew that however I played the hole, I'd probably be near the green in 3 shots. I almost hole it out of the bunker and I have a tap in for an easy par.
Wow.
My jaw completely dropped.
Wow.
Completely dropped.
Oh no.
That oh no is because I've duck hooked it into the trees. But the tee shot on this hole wasn't what I was worrying about, and luckily I had bounced out onto the fairway anyway. What was important was that I knew that there was a pond next to the green, and wow, another tree in the middle of the fairway. Now that pond was hard to see from where I was, so using my knowledge I safely laid up and got out of there with a bogey. That really could have been a lot worse. From the tee box, this looks like a pretty narrow fairway with the tree line creating a bit of a visual illusion. This time playing this hole, I knew that actually it was pretty wide up there, so I was able to put a bit more juice on the drive with some confidence. The tee shot leaves me with only 160 yards into the longest par 4 on the course. But it doesn't end there because I also knew how much death was on the left, as the river is right up against that rough. I guess I compensated a bit too much and end up getting caught in the trees on the right. Still, a bogey on the 5th hardest hole is more than acceptable. The par 3 7th hole is only 150 yards, so there's not much to worry about here. That is, of course, unless you hook your tee shot into a bunker, leaving yourself a pretty impossible up and down and walk off with a bogey. And needless to say, course knowledge isn't going to help you there. But the tee shot on the 8th can easily result in a double. Given that I can only hit a draw, if I hit my drive of say 250 yards or more, I'm almost certainly going to be in the drink. Figuring that out from the tee, even with some kind of GPS or app, is tricky as you need to account for other things like wind. But I knew that would happen from yesterday, because that's exactly what I did. Even the safety hybrid tests that limit, but I'm in play. This leaves another hybrid into the green, which I don't hit that well, but just like the 6th, this was expected to be a bogey hole anyway, so there's no real problem. Yesterday I got onto this green in 2, so it's time to do it again. Unfortunately, I've not started it right enough and it's just bounced into a fairway bunker, or so it looked like from the tee. If I had started it further to the right like I had intended, this would have also taken fairway tree number 3 out of play. But I didn't hit the shot I wanted to. No real problems punching up the fairway, and with only 160 yards to the flag,
I have something here, Reese.
I pop a pretty nice 7-iron onto the green.
It's been a while.
Yes,
Let's go.
thank God. Just please be as close as it looks.
I almost snatched an unlikely birdie here, but a par is perfectly fine.
Needed another up and down really on that one.
With a 3 over par front 9, I was feeling good about achieving the goal that I'd set at the beginning. I'm sure you'll agree that the course knowledge was really quite crucial on the front 9, but the start to the back 9 is a bit more straightforward. At 543 yards, I don't have to stress about getting on in 2 here. And even when I hit a poorly judged sand wedge short of the green, I wasn't worrying because I am sick at hitting bunker shots right now and almost hole out for a birdie again.
That was a good one, was it?
Told you bunker shots.
Yeah, I guess so. I still listen to you.
You told me what, 3 days ago? You love bunker shots. They're the best.
I think it's fair to say that most of the par 3s on this course are pretty simple. But duffing the tee shot has nothing to do with course knowledge, and it's because of that huge mistake that I've got another bogey on the scorecard. Now the following holes on the back 9 pretty much run alongside each other, which means that you likely won't get into much trouble off the tee, irrelevant of how wildly you hit it, or indeed how windy it is, because someone had turned the fans all the way up to 11 for me. I still felt okay pulling out the big stick, and even though it almost turned 90 degrees in the air and onto the next fairway, I was fine playing this hole as a 3-shotter. I almost managed to save par as well, but the wind was so crazy, walking off with a bogey here is perfectly fine. 13 is straightforward with a big fairway and probably only a flip wedge into the green, which is exactly how it went down, except I'd pushed it ever so slightly too far to the right into this bunker and ended up with a dreadful lie. I was pretty much in a hole, but I guess that's just what golf is, isn't it? This double bogey really should have been at worst a par, especially when I knew how the hole was laid out. Note to myself here, Paul, you should really be rolling in these putts, punched greens or no punched greens. The last of the simple par 3s, and the wind takes my tee shot into a bunker that was being worked on but not ground under repair, the only bad one I had experienced all day, and I walk off with yet another bogey on a par 3. 15 was flashing go zone, with wind helping, and having got on in 2 yesterday, I was confident. There is a slope that dissects the fairway that could cause problems, but again I knew that I'd probably be over it and with about 230 yards left into the green. But not quite getting the line right, my 3-wood gets caught up in the left rough and what should have been a birdie ends up being a par as I'm unable to get up and down. Now, that double on the 13th and bogeying 3 of the par 3s has put me in a bit of a tough spot here. Those were simple holes and I made an absolute meal of them, but the harder holes that needed more thinking were handled perfectly fine. I now had 3 tricky holes to finish on, none of them par 5s, and I needed to play them 1 under par for a 79. But you know what? Crazier things have happened. Safe in the knowledge I was driving it well, the tee shot was no problem. If I just hit the green with the second shot, I'd be in great shape as I remembered how small the green actually was. And after a solid 2-putt, the mission was starting to look doable.
That is huge for the program.
Massive.
Massive.
And finally we have that tricky par 3 with water right in front of the 17th green. And the wind was still blowing like mad. But this made me focus in and I knew the exact shot that I needed to play. And I played it to perfection.
Oh, that's almost in the hole.
Oh my god!
That's like inches. It might be a foot or 2, but that's damn close. That's damn close.
Oh
that is so close.
Oh my god!
What does Tiger say?
Easy day. What does Paul say? Golf is easy. Probably one of the most perfect shots I've ever played. I was like, okay, 170 yards, I hit this 160, wind from the right, aim to the right, just hit it pure, unreal.
Suddenly the goal was in reach. We get up there and yes, it was as close as it looked. I'm in for that oh so crucial birdie.
Massive.
The final hole is long but not complicated at all. I don't hit a great drive, but I still have a chance with my safety hybrid. And while I don't hit the green, I am pin high in 2 shots and have a simple chip to get it near the hole, which doesn't go how I pictured it at all. After all the planning and figuring out my strategy, I actually have a chance for a 79, but it's looking pretty slim. It all comes down to 1 putt. It rolls past, agonizingly close. Despite some tougher conditions, I've still improved my score by 4 strokes in 1 day, and it really is all thanks to better course knowledge. The next time you're playing somewhere for the first time, just think how much better the next round is going to be. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the course.